I'm gonna be 42 in 1 month, and I just got my very first diagnosis for neurodivergence. I wanna tell you the 3 things that helped me realize that it was time for me to talk to a doctor, to consider medication, and I'm gonna tag the doctor that I talked to below because she is fabulous. So the first red flag was that I was diagnosed with narcolepsy in my early 20s. And it wasn't until recently that I learned this is commonly a misdiagnosis or a concurrent diagnosis with neurodivergence, because typically people who are neurodivergent will overdo it on stimulants, and thus that impacts your sleep and causes all kinds of sleep problems. I believe that original narcolepsy diagnosis was a misdiagnosis for me because I have no symptoms now. It was more likely adrenal fatigue, adrenal exhaustion, or full adrenal burnout from overdoing it on caffeine. Secondly, as I mentioned, I am about to be 42. And I'm not saying I'm in perimenopause, but I am saying I know for sure that your hormones change over time. And so when you're a woman and you get to this age, it becomes harder or impossible to mask the symptoms that you were able to mask before, or to just tolerate better with the fluctuation of your monthly hormonal cycle. And the last thing, and the most important reason that I decided to actually talk to a doctor, which, as you've just heard, my medical history is not great, and I have been misdiagnosed and mistreated by doctors throughout my entire life as a woman, especially. Oh, and that's why I chose a female doctor, by the way. Anyways, the number one reason that I decided that this is actually time is because it was impacting my quality of life. I felt like I couldn't think straight. I found myself in hours of functional freeze, spending too much time on screens to try to dissociate and scratch that brain itch, and just generally having a whole lot of problems with executive function, prioritizing tasks, initiating tasks. I had actually tried back in 2023 to talk to a doctor and get this same diagnosis, but that was a male doctor and I was dismissed by him based on not presenting the symptoms that most boys would present in childhood. Because for the majority of Western medicine, we have only tested on men and treated women like tiny men. There's a whole book on this called Invisible Women. And that negative experience kind of pushed me away from the idea of being able to get diagnosed, being able to have better quality of life. But like I said, my girl, Dr. Addie in Dallas, if you're in Texas, highly recommend. She does telehealth appointments. You just have to see her at least one time in person per year. And if you're not in Texas and my story helped you in some way and it has encouraged you to try again, I am so glad to hear it.